What if I told you that all that effort, all those hours you've spent perfecting your jigging motion, might be the very reason you're going home empty-handed? Imagine this. You're working a lure like a pro, and right next to you, a rod just sitting there untouched gets absolutely hammered. Sound familiar? Today we're digging into the brutal, uncomfortable truth about why a deadstick rod, the laziest setup on the water, consistently outfishes your actively jigged lure. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll look at that do-nothing rod with a whole new level of respect. This isn't just a tip. It's a revelation that might explain years of frustration. So, let me ask you right now, do you honestly believe your active jigging is always the best approach? Let's find out. For generations, we've been taught one thing: movement attracts fish. We've bought into the idea that we need to be actively working a lure to make it look alive. It's the angler's creed, right? If you're not jigging, twitching, or ripping, you're not really fishing. This belief is so ingrained in us that the idea of just letting a rod sit there feels wrong. It feels lazy, unproductive. We see it everywhere, from fishing shows to dock talk. The hero is always the angler with the magic cadence, the secret wrist flick that drives fish crazy. But what if that's all just a story we tell ourselves? What if, in our endless effort to do something, we're completely missing the point of what the fish actually want, especially on those tough days when the bite is slow? Let's start with the most obvious culprit: over-jigging. Picture a cold front rolling through. The barometric pressure is high, the sky is clear, and the fish are in what we call a neutral or negative mood. They aren't actively hunting. They're lethargic, sitting near the bottom, conserving energy. Now, here you come, ripping a noisy, flashy lure right through their living room. To a spooky, lethargic walleye, that isn't an easy meal. It's a threat. It's unnatural, loud, and alarming. Your aggressive action, meant to attract, is actually pushing them away. You're effectively shouting in a library, and the fish are just trying to find a quiet corner. Now, let's look at the deadstick. What is it really? It's the ultimate natural presentation. A live minnow on a hook, suspended just off the bottom, doing what a real minnow does. It struggles slightly, it sends out subtle vibrations, it has natural scent. It's not breakdancing, it's just existing. For a fish that doesn't want to chase, this is the perfect meal. It's a low-risk, high-reward opportunity that requires almost no energy to investigate and eat. The deadstick isn't trying to force a reaction. It's patiently waiting to be accepted. It's a quiet invitation, not a loud demand. The role of live bait on a deadstick cannot be overstated. We often forget that the minnow is doing all the work for us. That shiner or fathead is constantly moving, flashing its sides, and sending out distress signals that predators are genetically programmed to notice. Think about it. It's a tiny, panicked billboard that says, "Easy meal here." Your job is simply to put that billboard in the right neighborhood. When you try to add a whole bunch of unnatural jigging motions to it, you're just interfering with the minnow's own perfect fish-attracting dance. Understanding fish moods is 90% of the battle. On any given day, only a small percentage of fish in a system are truly aggressive and willing to chase. The vast majority are neutral, negative, or just going about their day. Your aggressive jigging lure only appeals to that tiny fraction of aggressive fish. The deadstick, on the other hand, appeals to all of them. The aggressive fish will still eat it, but crucially, so will the neutral and even the negative ones. It's a non-threatening offering that a lazy, uninterested fish can still be tempted to slurp up as it passes by. Let's be honest, the deadstick is also the perfect sentry. It never gets tired. It never gets impatient. It can hold the lure in the strike zone with perfect stillness for hours if needed. Your arm, on the other hand, cannot. After just 10 or 15 minutes of active jigging, your cadence changes. You get tired, you get distracted, your perfect motion becomes sloppy. The dead stick maintains its subtle, patient presentation long after you've lost focus. It's the definition of consistency, something human anglers struggle with. Now let's talk about something more scientific: vibration and water displacement. Every move your lure makes sends pressure waves through the water, which fish detect with their lateral line. An aggressive, erratic jig sends out sharp, chaotic signals. A minnow on a dead stick, however, sends out the gentle, rhythmic pulse of a living creature. It's a familiar, organic signal that means food. The dead stick's subtle signature is often far more appealing than the loud, artificial noise your active lure is creating. It whispers when you are shouting. This leads to a hard truth. Your jigging cadence is probably wrong most of the time. We see the pros on TV with these fast, aggressive rips, and we try to copy them. But we forget that they are often fishing in highly specific situations, targeting hyper-aggressive fish. For the average angler on an average day, that technique is overkill. The most important part of any jigging sequence isn't the jig itself, it's the pause. The dead stick is, in essence, the ultimate infinite pause. It's a masterclass in letting the lure do the work. Think about the pause. When you jig a spoon or a rattling lure, you lift it and let it fall. The fish often follow it up, but they almost always strike when it stops moving. They hit it on the pause when it looks like a stunned or dying baitfish. So if the bite always happens on the pause, what does that tell you? It tells you that the moments of stillness are the true triggers. A dead stick is 100% pause. It capitalizes on the single most important moment of the presentation, and it does it constantly. Another key factor is the horizontal presentation. When you're jigging vertically, you're presenting a target that moves up and down. A dead stick, especially one set up with a slip bobber or a sensitive rod tip, often presents the bait in a more stable, horizontal position. This perfectly mimics a cruising baitfish. For predators like walleye, whose eyes are positioned on top of their heads to look up, a bait sitting perfectly horizontal above them is a natural and easy target to silhouette against the surface or the ice. We can't ignore the impact of weather. On those bluebird sky days after a cold front, when the barometric pressure is soaring, fish often glue themselves to the bottom and refuse to move. Their strike zone might shrink to just a few inches. Trying to call them in with an aggressive jig is a waste of time. But placing a live minnow on a dead stick right on their nose and just leaving it there, that's often the only way to get a bite. The dead stick allows you to surgically target these inactive fish with a presentation they can't refuse. Let's turn the mirror on ourselves and talk about angler psychology. We have a deep-seated need to do something. Sitting still feels like we're not participating. We get bored. We lose confidence. So we jig, we twitch, we move spots. We mistake activity for productivity. The dead stick forces us to confront this. It requires patience and trust. Trust that the fish are there, and trust that a subtle presentation is the right call. Its success is a lesson in letting go of our own impatience. Think of the dead stick as your ultimate scientific control. When you fish with two rods, one active and one dead, you are conducting a real-time experiment. The dead stick is your baseline. It tells you what the fish want when there's no angler input. If the dead stick is getting all the bites, the lake is giving you clear, undeniable feedback. Stop what you're doing. You're being too aggressive. It's the most honest fishing partner you'll ever have, and it will teach you more than any pro if you're willing to listen. Of course, a successful dead stick isn't just a rod in a holder. The setup is critical. You need to fine-tune it. This means using a lighter line, often a fluorocarbon leader for invisibility, and the right hook. A small, sharp treble hook or a circle hook allows the minnow to swim freely and ensures a solid hookup when a fish subtly inhales the bait. A heavy-handed setup will kill the natural action and defeat the entire purpose. the details matter immensely in a game of subtlety. The rod itself plays a huge role. A proper dead stick rod isn't a stiff broomstick. It has an extremely soft, flexible tip. This noodle tip serves two purposes. First, it allows a fish to take the bait with very little resistance, which is crucial for finicky biters. Second, it's an incredibly sensitive bite indicator. You'll see the tip slowly start to bend down, or even pop up long before you'd ever feel the bite on a stiffer rod. It turns a visual cue into your primary bite detection method. Now, this isn't to say active jigging never works. Of course it does. In dirty water, at dawn or dusk, or when fish are in a feeding frenzy, an aggressive jigging lure is fantastic for calling fish in from a distance. The noise and vibration act like a dinner bell for active predators. The key is knowing when to use it. The mistake most anglers make is using that aggressive tool 100% of the time, even when the situation calls for a quiet, subtle approach. It's about having the right tool for the job and knowing when to put the hammer down and pick up the scalpel. Here's a great way to think about it. Your active jigging rod is for calling fish in. The dead stick is for triggering a bite. You can use your noisy, flashy spoon to draw a fish's attention on your sonar. But once that fish comes in and just stares at your lure, it's telling you it's interested, but not committed. That's the moment the dead stick shines. The fish will often turn from your artificial lure and swim right over to the easy, natural meal sitting just a few feet away. One rod makes the introduction, the other closes the deal. Watching your electronics while dead sticking is an education in itself. You'll see a fish mark appear on your sonar, swim right up to your bait, and just sit there, sometimes for minutes. On a jigging rod, you'd get impatient and try to make it bite, likely spooking it. With a dead stick, you learn to wait. You watch the rod tip. You trust the process. You begin to understand just how long and how subtly fish investigate a potential meal before they decide to eat. It forces you to become a more patient and observant angler. We also have to consider the power of scent. While you can add scent to your artificial lures, nothing beats the real thing. A live minnow is constantly releasing natural amino acids and scent into the water. In low visibility conditions, or when fish are relying more on smell than sight, this scent trail creates a small but potent food zone around your hook. Your dead stick isn't just a visual presentation, it's a scent slick, patiently calling in any fish that cruise by down current. When regulations allow for two lines, the combination of an active and a dead stick rod is the ultimate 1-2 punch. It's not about one being better than the other, it's about them working together. You cover two different parts of the water column and appeal to two different fish moods simultaneously. This doubles your chances and, more importantly, it constantly provides you with information. Whichever rod gets bit is telling you exactly what you need to know to adjust your strategy for the rest of the day. So the ultimate takeaway is this. The dead stick's success isn't magic. It's a lesson in humility. It teaches us that our constant need to be in control, to force a bite, is often our greatest weakness. Success in fishing, especially for wary species, is about presentation and understanding. The dead stick wins because it presents a natural, non-threatening meal with a patience we humans can rarely match. The brutal truth is that sometimes the very best thing you can do to catch a fish is absolutely nothing at all. So, there you have it. The secret isn't in the rod, it's in the philosophy behind it. The dead stick outfishes you not because it's a better tool, but because it removes the single biggest variable that spooks fish, you. It forces a patient, subtle, and natural presentation that aligns with what the fish actually want, not what we think they want. The big turning point for me was realizing that my jigging was for me. It made me feel like I was doing something. The dead stick is for the fish. And understanding that difference can fundamentally change your success on the water. It's a shift from being an aggressive hunter to being a patient trapper. Thank you so much for watching. If this video gave you a new perspective, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more content that goes beyond the basics. Now I want to hear from you. What's the most surprising fish you've ever caught on a dead stick? Drop your story in the comments below. Let's compare notes.